Hello, welcome everybody. Good morning. So we have our next presenter ready, Dr. Sameer Dalwai. The topic for this session is the pros and cons of internet-based treatment, which is really important during the pandemic. I would quickly introduce Dr. Sameer, sorry. So Dr. Sameer Hassan Dalwai is a developmental behavioral pediatrician based in Mumbai who has dedicated his complete life to deliver contemporary interventions to children with special needs and their families. He's a recipient of the Government of India's Rajiv Gandhi Manav Seva Award for services to children in 2012. Dr. Dalwai is the founder, director of and consultant at the New Horizons Child Development Center in Mumbai, which has a multidisciplinary team with 5 centers and an online intervention program for children with special needs currently. He and his team has proposed the social interaction theory of autism, and his current work is around delivering online intervention programs for children with special needs. He's also attached to Nanavati and Hinduja hospitals in Mumbai and is the National Joint Secretary of the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. So Dr. Sameer, good morning.
Good morning.
It's an honor to have you today, sir.
And it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible and visible.
Good morning, everybody. And thank you to the wonderful organizers for having thought of this wonderful concept and worked on it, because it's very, very important to have everybody on the same platform and to have a very fair and frank exchange of views, which I feel is very much lacking compared to what is needed. I mean, we are doing a lot of it, but it's never enough, because the more we speak, like one of my friends say, बातें करने से whatever are the differences, we are able to explain to each other, and we are able to look at each other's point of view, because there is so much to learn from each and every person. So without further, I'd like to go ahead with my presentation. Is that all right?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, all right. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about internet-based interventions. I'm going to make a few observations about the situation, about what is being done overall, and what has been our experience at New Horizons Child Development Center. And then we'd like to have some questions and answers, and we can discuss some more. So I'd like to start by saying that there is nothing good or bad, except by comparison to what it was. This is from a very popular film. And that is what should be our issue, because going ahead, we actually had no choice. Because of COVID-19 pandemic, we had to integrate and be innovative to address the needs of the children, because that became even more essential to help continue the care that children are getting. We had to focus on the best use of digital technologies to facilitate this access to patients, children, as well as care providers. And it's very obvious now that the pandemic itself doesn't seem to be ending. So this is very clearly the way forward, because it's been more than a year now, almost a year and a half. Now, when we talk about internet-based treatment or solution, there are some obvious benefits of the internet. One is that it helps ensure continuity of care. Otherwise, with these pandemics and with other difficulties coming in, that is a big problem, because we know that our children, our families, our people need to have a continuity of at least connect with each other, as the previous speaker, Parul ma'am, spoke so well. And of course, now parents are most worried about the life rather than just the other aspects, because exposure is a very important issue. Also, there is an increased patient-doctor engagement, because other things like travel time, wait time have been reduced. And though it may be online, there is a greater face-to-face, if I may say so, interaction with the healthcare provider. There is a greater choice, and it is not location dependent. Even areas which are remote, where people never had any options before, they have got accessibility. Travel and transport, which used to be a big problem, has decreased. Ease of access is seen, so we don't need any special measures to be able to access these facilities. They're convenient, as we said. They hopefully, as the scale expands, the cost will become even better and lesser, and that can be available to everybody. As we said, less time consuming. In Mumbai, place like Mumbai, even to start a small clinic, you know the kind of rentals that are required, or in any city actually in India. So space and infrastructure issues are removed because of an internet-based application. There are some special benefits to children of special needs. And this again, as is easily understood, is accessibility. not just for that individual child, but for that family from any part of the country, any part of the world actually. And that really cuts out the cost and the benefit, the trouble involved in transport, especially in cities. Cost, as we mentioned, over a period of time, as things scale better, we'll be able to bring down the cost much lesser because infrastructure cost, physical infrastructure cost will be out. But according to me, the two most important benefits of an online program would be that it is home-based. So instead of the child doing all those activities in my center, actually is going to be able to do all this in his own house. And hence, this leads to a much better individualization, not just of the child in the clinic or the center, but actually in the child's actual natural home environment where you really want the child to do better. So inclusion is being worked at the right place that we want to start working with. Now, there are some other issues that children with special kids are more likely to cooperate and view that they are in a familiar environment. So they are at home, so there are less disruptions of routine, reduced stress for the caregivers and children, both. Now, it also we have seen helps curb behavioral problems in children because traveling a long distance in our crowded public travel systems itself is a big issue. And though we may feel that digital appointments may be impersonal, it all depends on the person opposite, how well trained and cooperative that person is. At the same time, there are some specific disadvantages that I'd like to lay down right at the beginning. And this may sound a little, too blunt, but at the end of the day, it's as good as the original or it can be worse. Because very often what people wrongly think is whatever was happening in the clinics or in the therapy earlier, face-to-face or in real time, the same thing, you put a camera in front of it and you are at one end of the camera, the professional is at one end and the child is at the other end, and that's it. And for a long time, fortunately, those things are changing now. But in the initial 6-8 months, this is what was happening. And what actually mattered was that it all depended on how good your original program was. If the therapy or the intervention or the treatment that was being done was itself not good enough, there was no question of it improving. In fact, it could get worse because it took away the face-to-face or the hand or the touch that the child would have experienced. The other disadvantage is eventually it's an observation based, and as clinicians, we miss the touch and feel. The examination of the child, the face-to-face being in the same room, the comfort of being with the parents and the parents to have the comfort of being with the healthcare professional. It's very easy to judge and get a good feel of what's happening beyond just the touch. So all those things are a bit of a disadvantage, and assessments are difficult to conduct online. There is also the problem of marketing because now with an internet-based solution, the marketing has become even much more aggressive and right in your face. So things or programs which may not be good enough may actually turn out to be looking that good enough. It requires the parent or the caregiver to have that little bit much better insight into what they're looking into. And of course, things like internet quality, which I'm sure as this 2G, 3G, now 4G and all that keeps getting better, hopefully that will get better. But at the same time, there are very special skills required from both the sides, parents as well as the healthcare professional, to adapt to the online thing. And it's very important to understand that online intervention is not just putting a camera and doing what was being done before. And I cannot say that enough. It is not the same. It is not putting telemedicine or the concept of tele into what was happening before. We must understand this is a totally new game. And we have to not just put the therapy in the technology or technology in the therapy. We have to come up with something which is completely unique and different to serve the current situation online. And hence, also there may be a false sense of security that, well, our therapy is continuing. In fact, it's better. We don't need to travel. The costs are better. But at the same time, there may be a false sense of security, and we may not be that focused on checking how good is the improvement and how quick is the improvement. So again, like access barriers would be there on the online basis here, if not physical. Technical difficulties, many parents complain that at times they are not able to log in. There are many parents in India who are still not able to use the internet or a smartphone. Like I said, physical examinations are an issue. And we need to specifically focus on the training of health personnel and technical expertise. And also there's a huge concern over privacy because all of this is video based. Somebody may be recording your child without your permission, and that could be misused in so many ways. So we have seen examples where the marketing companies get the data from a doctor who's conducting some sessions, and then they directly target that patient for selling something without any approval from the doctor or anybody else. So all these things are what we need to be aware about. The challenges hence very clearly are based on two areas. One are the child characteristics and the second is what are the parent characteristics. For example, I'm not sure whether a child with a severe cerebral palsy, severe spasticity, how much would we be able to help this child with an online thing by taking away an actual physical therapy. At the same time, the parent characteristics are very important because the parents need to be tech savvy. They need to have the time, they need to have the digital technology, they need to be able to grasp it. So I'm sure if you are talking at the kind of audience here today, you may not have any challenge at all because we are doing an online summit. But India, as Gandhiji said, lives in its villages, and there are crores and crores of people who may not be able to grasp this, and hence making the program appropriate is very important. And at the same time, if the parent needs to have even more time working with the child to be able to help the child to do better. Plus the cost of affording, understanding all these challenges would be there. And we have to look into how best we can deal with them. Now, sharing some research about all these advantages, disadvantages, challenges, it's very clearly demonstrated all across. And there's now this Journal of Medical Internet Research that web-based interventions can be effective. However, caution should be taken when interpreting these findings, especially during assessment. Because if the person who is doing the assessment is not experienced enough or didn't have enough experience, now we can't say much experience in internet anyway because it's largely everybody switched on 1 year back. Maybe some of us were doing it a couple of years earlier as well. But largely the experience depends on your physical experience in the pre-COVID era and how well you are able to transmit it to the current internet era. Again, some other studies showed that smartphones hold a great potential because it is so ubiquitous and it is so pervasive now. But at the same time, a higher level of hard work and standardization amongst all the methodologies is important. Further, again, other studies showing that telehealth has a potential to increase the remote accessibility and availability to people, decrease diagnosis waiting times, and aid in the monitoring of the child. Now, that is a very important aspect I'm going to touch later. Monitoring becomes much more easy and it should be encouraged. So, of course, further research and more robust study designs are needed. And this one of these systematic review highlights that the telehealth technology prior to COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 has really increased and has accessed remote access. Now, there are some parent benefits or some things that parents should think of for their own benefit before choosing what appropriate technology or what appropriate solution to use. Now, I'm aware that there is a gamut of options from the Google-based or the internet-based free access, free downloads, videos. People would say something and they would just put it on the internet. It's out there for everybody to benefit. There are thousands and thousands of such videos, thousands and lakhs of such advices and such programs available online where one can just go in and download it and do what they like. On the other hand, there are extremely well managed or extremely well monitored, microscopically monitored, if I would say, individualized programs on the other hand, that would be having its own disadvantages of cost and other issues that require the parents to be well trained enough and so on and so forth. So you have this entire gamut. What needs to be understood is you have to pick the choice that fits your needs the best. And hence, I would recommend parents start by actually writing down, making a note of what is it that you're looking for. What is it that would help you the best rather than just getting carried away by the barrage of stuff that hits your phone every time you switch it on. So we have to be very careful about this marketing aspect because actually nothing is free. Even if the videos that maybe I may have recorded that I may not have charged for it, but if it's going through YouTube, it's going to somebody or the other, some advertiser is making money. So you need to look at it from your point of view and not just that somebody else is being altruistic. The other huge advantage that I find patients sharing with us is it avoids the stigmatization that unfortunately still exists in our society for children with special needs, because it's very largely in a way faceless or in the comfort or privacy of your own home. Over a period of time, as I said, even costs have been significantly cut down. If nothing else, at least the travel times and the travel cost, the cost of taking a leave from your work, all those things for the issues involved with transport. These, but most important, it helps the parents and the child have a continuity of care and ensures parents that my child is not going to really suffer. We have so many children who have come up now and said that we stopped therapy once the lockdown happened. We had to go to the native place. We had this issue of migrants and stuff like that. And now there are people are coming back, or rather were coming back before the second wave, and saying that we really lost the continuity of care. So how do you select the best for yourself? Just a few quick suggestions that I'd like to offer. The most important thing is the developmental level of your child, not the chronological age of your child. It depends on exactly whether the program or the intervention is being targeted to your child's level of development. And hence I mentioned the internet programs are often as good as what the initial therapy ideology or the initial principles of treatment were. And there are many who would still not follow this even in a physical model. But this is what we must be aware, that at the end of the day, whether it's a physical model or an online model, there are certain basic principles that are best for the child. And that is the program attuned to the developmental level of your child? What are your special circumstances? Is there another child with a problem in the house? Is it a single parent we are talking about? Is affordability an issue? Is it that both the parents have to work very hard at a job to make two ends meet? What is the issue with travel? Do you have a grandparent at home who requires more medical and personal care? So there are so many special circumstances. Very important about adaptability. Are you comfortable adapting? To which level are you comfortable? Is it a smartphone that you are happy using, or do you want to use it on a laptop? How much time can you spend? How easy is it for you to adapt what you are told on the screen to be able to do it in your day-to-day life with the child? Very important is the monitoring of improvements, because the first and the fourth go hand in hand. A really good, it's needless to say, but it's important to say because it doesn't happen most of the time. A really good developmental program is which looks at the development level of your child, not diagnosis. Looks at the development level of your child and helps you take the child ahead from one level to the other, step by step. And that can be possible only by monitoring the improvements. Because if you do not monitor it as a parent, and if you are just told that, look, this is autism, don't expect too much. Don't stress yourself by expecting too much. This child is going to be special. I personally, with no offense meant to anybody, I don't believe in this kind of talk or this kind of philosophy. I think every child can do better. In fact, that's the line at our center, that every child can do better if we move from label to enable. And hence that labeling is the diagnosis. Enabling is the developmental process of your child. And if we are able to monitor it well, we will know whether the developmental program is working well for you, whether it is physical, whether it is internet-based, whether it is super costly or whether it is free. It doesn't matter. What is important is the single most thing, how well are you showing improvements in the child. And for that, the monitoring is very important. Again, you have to look at what suits everybody's pocket, because the same size cannot fit all. I'm just going to come to the last part of my presentation because I thought we'll have much more discussion on this topic. Most people are looking for it. And I'm going to share our experience and research. Obviously, it's just been a year, so there's not much of published research. Most of the things are in the press, but at least our experience at our center, we can say. For example, we'll start with what happened in, say, April, May, June last year, where suddenly there was a break in the physical interventions. So at least what we said, what we can continue doing is the online counseling for older children, adolescents especially, and for parents of children who are not able to assess online counseling themselves. And this was part of our original program. And that's what I'm saying. The original program envisaged a child being seen, or a parent and a child being seen by a developmental pediatrician, a program being made along with individual assessments by everybody, an individual program for the child being adopted. And then the program continued for a few months in terms of physical interventions for the child, in terms of either physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, remedial education. But one of the essential elements of our program at New Horizons has been parental counseling on a very regular basis. So because the physical session stopped, there was a lockdown, we didn't know what else to do. We at least continued with the online counseling for the older children and for parents of children who are younger. And well, again, this was what was seen even earlier. And as most of the children at our center are with autism, we had a larger proportion of children with autism for this. So like we said, this was the study that we've put for publication. The COVID-19 pandemic worsened the challenges of parents of children with special needs because there were so many other issues that they were facing. And at the same time, healthcare providers were facing a lot of logistical difficulties. So we try to adapt to this changing landscape by offering, at least continuing rather, the online counseling sessions to nearly 120 children with developmental needs and their parents. And this counseling was held on a weekly or fortnightly basis for 2 to 6 months. Ideally, otherwise it would be say monthly or in some cases fortnightly. Now, since the other interventions had stopped, we had a more frequent duration of counseling. What we saw is that the concerns older children shared, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it, ranging from anxiety to boredom to fear, feelings of uncertainty, fears of the family members contracting COVID, and which has got so much worse in the second wave, because now children have even, some of them have lost their parents. On our side, what our team did was validated their emotional experiences, suggested ways to structure their day, which was well balanced with a good mixture of academics as well as leisure and physical play, and help them to deal with their feelings of boredom and anxiety. So these techniques have to be modified to the context currently. And parental counseling focused transforming the home environments to be more responsive to the child's cares and needs, much more than our focus was earlier on what we were counseling the parents. Now it was much more on transforming the home environments, and hence we found a greater participation of parents actually, and that has been my experience over the last 1 year. And then, of course, there are some explanation of changes in the child symptom was useful, but also telling them the red flags where they had to consult somebody in person. And recommendations like positive instructional styles, antecedent identification, promoting pro-social skills, how to reduce temper tantrums and deal with emotional meltdowns. All of these things were what we tried to do. And the parent-child collaboration in the house via the household chores and shared activities was encouraged. We in fact did a review after a few months and after the first lockdown opened, and we realized that many of them had regarded the counseling sessions as providing some safety and supportive space to the parents to resolve their challenges during the lockdown. And hence this basic movement into the online, which allowed us to enter the child's house, so to speak. This family-centered approach provided new platforms for enhancing the parent-child relationships. So that we could work more on the parent-child relationships there and include a better perspective taking for all of us as to understanding what is really happening in the child's house and the setting. And there was designated family time on a daily and weekly basis, which we had advised that improved sharing of information and feelings between children and their parents over a period of time. And hence, even though it was online, parents reporting the children's concerns to us was actually better than what it was in the physical world. Its analysis also highlighted that congruence between the parent and child counseling sessions was vital in sustained gains as reported by the parents. Now, again, there were some inclusion criteria that we have to talk about. Children with developmental delays and behavioral concerns in the age range of 0 to 6 years, or children with developmental behavioral concerns reported by the families. But more important has to be that parents amenable for online intervention program and can participate online. They consider being involved with the child as a priority, but have sufficient time and inclination to participate. So a very important key factor coming in here for the inclusion criteria is the situation of the parents. Whether parents would be able to adapt to this online thing, or would it be better for them to continue with the physical model. Very important also to look at the exclusion criteria, because otherwise we end up giving a false sense of security to the parents. Extreme severity of neurodevelopmental conditions, as of today, I can say, at least I would say my experience, we are not ready to be able to give them a very good solution online. Of course, the importance of counseling the parents, allaying their anxiety cannot be dismissed. And like I showed in our earlier study of 116 children, that part continued to help them. But if you have severe neurodevelopmental conditions or an acute conditions like stroke or trauma, online may not be the right thing for you to do. Neuromotor conditions like cerebral palsy or SMA, these may require a much higher need for physical intervention. And if there is a child who's already facing neglect and abuse at home, is in a foster home, or maybe some issues of abuse or issues of substance abuse at home, and if the home environment itself is traumatic and abusive to the child, then you cannot expect this home-based intervention to work, because like I mentioned even in the first case, if we are looking at the 0 to 6 years age, we do not, and I repeat this, we do not interact with the child over the screen. And I have been a very strong votary of not allowing younger children to have access to screens. So below 6 years, it is essentially and only for the parents. This is our inclusion criteria at least. Because having a child in front of you and telling him to do certain exercises to a 4-year-old child with a developmental concern is itself in itself a issue of discussion and a challenge. So this is very clearly what we do not recommend. Over 6 years of age, developmental age specifically, and the child having other issues like maybe only behavioral concerns, maybe only ADHD kind of concerns, maybe only learning disability or some anxiety, those can be considered for a direct intervention. Otherwise, we have to keep focusing on parents till we are more experienced with the online intervention, because parents need to be involved in actually transferring this knowledge or the experience that we are trying to share with them. Again, in the inclusion exclusion criteria, like we said, unfortunately, if the situation demands that both parents be out of the house, and I mean, this is nothing to do with money. I mean, I have patients whose parents are doctors and they don't have time because they are more stressed than anybody else, that the work they are providing, and both of the parents work in COVID facilities as doctors. So absolutely very difficult for them to give time. It's the child is left with a aged grandparent, and it may not be possible or the best solution in that case. And the resources and priority of the parents to be involved within the program needs to be addressed right at the beginning. This is an online parent coaching program that New Horizons we came up with. And in fact, the name, we had a tagline which always said from label to enable. And this is because it is e-driven. We've called this enable parent coaching program. And the word itself is very clear. It's not a therapy giving program. It's a parent coaching program. It's an online behavioral neurodevelopmental program. It's a video-based weekly coaching sessions for parents monitored by the developmental pediatrician, where the program is made by the developmental pediatrician and the coaching is done by trained team members within the team. This is a tie-up with the Indian Academy of Pediatrics as well, just to share a couple of cases and then I will close. And these have been children who have been only seen online. So 6-year-old boy, natural conception, firstborn, cried immediately after birth, some neonatal hyperbilirubinemia. He had a history of global developmental delay and febrile seizures earlier, and he continued to be on sodium valproate because he continued to have seizures. He presented to us during the pandemic with behavioral concerns and delayed speech and language concerns. As I say, usually we start with the entire detailed evaluations and assessments, not possible during online. So what we did is we just kind of made a list of all the issues that he had, and more than that, what was the developmental level of the child. Each and every one of these concerns was addressed to the parent. There was a weekly coaching program with the parent, and over a period of even a month, each and every domain saw some improvement or the other. Now, at 1 month, nobody would expect a great deal, but what is important to expect something, and not to expect is a big problem, which I find. It's very important to monitor this and to see that there are significant benefits according to the goals made by the developmental pediatrician or the head of the program that are accrued every month. I'm not saying there can be a day and night difference, but there has to be some difference, because it is not getting the therapy that is important. It is getting the benefit and the result for your child that is important. Another girl, 2.5-year-old child, smaller child, IVF conception, again developmentally delayed. Complaints of behavioral concerns, speech concerns, increased screen time, especially during the pandemic, echolalia for everything seen on the mobile. Again, very important to put down what is the level of development of the child, and to make a program working on it for a month, goals for a month, breaking them down into smaller goals. And over a period of 3 months, you will see some improvement significantly, which has resulted, which are noted down and which have been put in front of the parent. So this transparency actually is extremely important for parents now, because since it is online and nobody knows, because just a year old, but most of these programs are, the monitoring by the parent, knowing what was told or given, communicated earlier, that these are the goals we are working on, and this is a reasonable time frame that we are expecting these goals to start coming up step by step by step. This definition, this transparency, sharing this with the parents is extremely important, because it actually gives the parents much better hope, much better motivation, even more than hope. And they are able to work with the child much better, because then these are the smaller goals that you're giving them to work on. Instead of, like Parul ma'am said earlier, 40 hours of ABA, you have to finish 40 hours of ABA. Then it becomes therapy focused. Mujhe 40 hours of therapy dena hai. No, this is different. This is okay. I have to develop this small improvement in my child over a period of 3 weeks or 4 weeks, for which I have to do these things. Let me try and see how that's going. Let's see how it works for me. The professionals will give me the overall idea how to do it, and they can give further micro tips as well. But eventually it is mommy and daddy and the family which is going to know best what works for the child in that environment. They are the best to know what they can adapt in their own house. I do not know what another family does in their house. Nobody has an idea except that family. So it is best left to that family to adapt. Our job is to make clear what are we working on. Because once the goals are made clear, and they have to be very small baby step goals, then the whole family is motivated to achieve it. I've shared this because this is a parent from the UK who, again, I've not met because this happened through my work at Nanavati Hospital and met her online. And she has been now for the last 6 months. This is a much earlier thing. But even in the lockdown, when in fact children were showing much worse behaviors because of all the stress, with this step-by-step model, we were able to work with her. And in fact, in the first 2 months itself, she showed some consistent program improvement through the program. In fact, it's been 6 months now, and the child is still going further on, is now completely social, is with the lockdown having opened in the UK, being able to meet other people and visit the neighbors' homes and so on and so forth. Key messages to close is that the greater integration of information technology in healthcare is a key strategy. It is not just taking a camera and an internet and going ahead with therapy. It is an integration to come up with a new modality of intervention. And of course, for that, the healthcare policies, the internet delivery, the systems need to be updated to support modality of healthcare, and promoting their implementation and guaranteeing their operability. We need to know for sure that the internet services are not going to shut down a few days later, or we are going to regress back. So equal access and quality is very important, and that's where the government and the healthcare policies are very important, because we have to look at equity rather than just equality or access to those who can afford it. So the big challenge is how can these internet or telehealth mediated services be taken across to each and every child. Just a quick digression maybe from the topic, but just as part of the Maharashtra government task force for pediatric COVID that has been formulated just 3 weeks back by the Honorable CM of Maharashtra, we have been working on the entire program for dealing with the issues of COVID, and I'm involved with more of the psychosocial aspects of the pandemic and the lockdown and the loss of lives and all the children are experiencing. But the entire government is planning to take this program completely online, and they are working at developing facilities even in the smaller remote villages. It's not possible. I mean, today probably every village in India, or at least in Maharashtra, I may say, definitely has a few people with a mobile. So especially when we are looking at bigger healthcare issues like COVID and physical health, the issues like the government asking the sarpanch is the mukhia, or the head of the village, to collect people together. Whoever has 1 or 2 devices or has a access, they can collect everybody together with social distancing and masking, and at least we are able to dispel that. Or even better, don't call them together. You download the information yourself and go door to door, maintaining social distancing, maintaining masking, maintaining sanitation, and explain this. So the percolation through internet is phenomenal, and it will have changed the world, just as inventing the wheel did many thousands of years ago. But the solution for children with special needs is in a holistic program that plans the step-by-step road to recovery, including multiple stakeholders, but the most important stakeholders being the parents and family. And the last suggestion that I would have is, don't look for patchy, arbitrary, or quick fix solutions, because they may boomerang. And there is no guarantee and there is no accountability. At the end of the day, if there is no accountability, how can you hold somebody responsible for it? And why would somebody take any accountability for it? So eventually this issue is important enough, so important enough, that the person working for it has to show some accountability and responsibility. And hence it is your right as parents to ask for a written document, a detailed explanation about what is it that the internet that is service that is being provided to you, what is it that they are thinking the child has, what are their aims and goals in the short term and in the long term, how do they plan to work on it, and then on a month-by-month basis preferably, how you and they can monitor it to see that yes, things are going in the right direction, instead of waiting for 6 months and then going back and trying to assess. So these are a few key messages. The entire idea looks very, very promising to change the landscape of modern day healthcare, needless to say. Finally, I'd like to end by acknowledgements to my wonderful team across the years. This was a picture 3 years back, so it was the 15th year. Now we've become adult. We finished 18 years of our center. But all of the learning, all of the sharing that I could do right now is only and only because of having a fabulous team of people across the last 18 years to have worked with. I get to represent this as an individual here, I get the, what do I say, the advantage or the get to be put up here, but it's actually the work of my entire team across all these years. And of course, the thousands and thousands of families who have shared their share their joys, their happiness, their worries, their concerns with us, and trusted us enough to work with them and help them to do better. So it's actually helping us as well to learn more and more. So it's acknowledgements to all of them, to my team, to the parents, to our organization. And also I'd like to mention the name of my colleague, Dr. Hila, who helped us put this data together. So thank you very much for a very patient hearing and a very patient participation rather. And if there are any questions, if there are any suggestions, I'll be more than happy to welcome them. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the very clear and crisp presentation here. I would quickly like to summarize the whole session, in which you kind of explain the advantages and the disadvantages of the internet-based interventions, in which somewhere around I as a therapist feel that the advantages overpower the disadvantages and the cons. The benefits are better, wherein it is very cost effective transportation, and the fear of infection is somewhere can be avoided. You also presented a research which you did in NHCDC, wherein we could claim that yes, therapists, if they are very much experienced in their fields and trained with good skills to perform or conduct online therapy sessions with appropriate skill set, they can go ahead and find some development in the children. There was a lot of parent-child bonding, and the parent-child relationship had improved after the session. And there were points where you mentioned that there is a difference between just going around surfing on the internet, picking up things and doing, and there is a difference between picking out, choosing the right doctors, the right therapists, the right set of knowledge, and going ahead with the development. I'll ask the attendees to ask any questions if there are, but before that, I have some generalized questions. So as a therapist, I feel initially when you started the online therapy session program, did you find any challenges to convince the parents? Did your team find any challenges to convince the parents for coming up and taking the online session?
That's a very good and a vital question, because anything that is new, parents or the community, or why everybody, let's look at it as a community, we are all hesitant to do it. And it only requires patient explanation of the pros and the cons, and a very transparent explanation that really helps. So, for example, telling some parents that it will not help your child right now, maybe we can try something else. Even that helps, because that builds up faith and confidence that you are giving the honest opinion. But maybe after a couple of months, you realize that that was wrong. Maybe I now realize I can deal with this also. And then getting back and say, hey, listen, 2 months back, we thought we could not do this. But here's what's happening. We have tried this with some other children who didn't have the same concerns or some different concerns. But now we think we can cross-max that here and cross-pollinate this here. And it's always the frankness and the transparency and the bond between parents and the provider that really works. So it still is a big issue. I still won't say that we've reached the same, I mean, no question about it. I would still say that we are maybe at 30% when before the second lockdown, when things were getting better, I would say in March, we were still at 30 to 40% of the total number of children that we were working with. So this will take time. Even the Enable program that I mentioned to you, it will take time. We have got about more than 100 children already in the program. But the advantage is that children who could never have come, or children who used to come from other parts of India once a year, ki Dr. Sahab, bachche ko dekho, kya karna hai, we'll stay here for 8 days, we'll take a home program and go back. Those people are more happy because now they have continuity of care. They don't need to come here. And besides, in cities in India, especially metropolises, the cost of staying in the city for 3 days in a hotel is much more than the cost of therapy for the whole year. So these issues are also what parents are considering, and they're opening up to it. So I think over a period of time, this reservation will decrease and people will be more and more open for it. And basically, I think it's not going to be only internet. We are going to have a hybrid model. There will be some who will want only physical. There will be some who will want only online. And there will be some who will want कि नहीं मुझे physiotherapy के लिए मैं center में आऊँगी, लेकिन मुझे counseling जो है घर पे करिए उसके लिए आने की क्या जरूरत है.
Right. And sir, while also convincing the parents, we come across comparisons like, online schooling and online therapy sessions. If my child is not nicely sitting for the online schooling, do you feel he'll perform with me for the online therapy session? So what is your opinion over here? How do you
So I have a very guarded opinion about online schooling and anything online involving children directly. And it is no longer, with our group of children, it is no longer only about the chronological age. It's also about the developmental age. It's also about the developmental abilities. So I'm not a strong votary, and I've said this enough number of times, of putting a child in front of a screen. I'm not, that's my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I'm not. So when it is a child not age appropriate for the child, in fact, all my programs are only directed at parents and parent coaching, as I mentioned. Unless you have a 8-year-old child with, say, just learning disability, was coming for only remediation earlier, and maybe we have been able to work hard at it and come out with a model that even works. It doesn't work just by putting a camera on the remedial education session. It has to be a different ball game altogether. But online schooling, I feel, has two problems. One is the issues related to the screen watching. The other issue also is the focus that the child can have. How much is it possible for the child to do that? And then when we force the child, and I loved what Mrs. Parul Kumta madam said, I have a very firm belief that most of the problems we see with children and adults in autism are because we have made them anxious in early childhood by making them do what they are not ready to do developmentally. I'm not saying not ready to do in terms of mood. You can always coax and cajole and get a child to better his mood. He's not developmentally ready. And that anxiety translates into lifelong problem. So it's very important if the child is comfort. There are some parents who say my child enjoys online school. Very good. If there is no stress and it's a 45-minute session at the most, he's doing that, that's fine. So it has to be completely individualized.
Right. Sir, another important question is, did you, during the online sessions or the online interventions, find that the parents are losing their essence or trying to get converted into therapists? They are, am I audible?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So do they try to become very technical when it comes to play and the activities that they are supposed to do during the home program?
But why are we thinking that earlier they were not there? It's the same before also. It's the same. I am not going to propose that parents don't download free programs. In fact, I'll be very frank. That was a topic that was suggested. I refuse that, because if somebody feels a free program can help them, somebody feels that they can be the therapist for the child, nobody has a right to say no to them. They have every right to think like that. Who am I to tell a parent that, look, you don't be a therapist? I don't have a right. Because I need to know for sure that I am God, right? If I can tell somebody don't do this, then I need to think I am God, that I can tell you exactly and do what I'm saying. We are not gods. Nobody is God. Plus, this is a new system. Plus, we have very little experience on it. So if parents feel that they can be therapists and they want to be therapists, I don't feel ethically, I don't think we have a right to tell them not to do that. We have a right to tell them, or it's our duty to tell them what best we think they should do. To what extent they take it, I have no guarantee over it. There's a group of, I heard from one of my team members that, sir, when we give a program to one particular child online, they are sharing it with 10 other parents. I said, thank God. Thank God for it, that he has given us the capacity that even without seeing also online also, we are able to help 10 others. Thank God for that. That's not our credit. It's God's credit that he may have given us so much of knowledge that is helping the other person. And if it is helping those 10 people also, who am I to say don't do it? And who am I to know that it will not help those 10 children? I can very well say, look, it has to be individualized. It has to be personalized. I am the expert. Every month I will see you and I will tell you what is to be done. That's not wrong also totally. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean it's the ultimate. It depends again on situation to situation. And there may be a child who doesn't get all this, or may not afford all this, or may not like all this kind of intervention from a doctor. And the parent may do that and they may have a fantastic intervention. So I believe it should be left open. Our job as professionals is to relate our experiences in the best goodwill and in the most honest manner that we think. It is up to the parents to take whatever they feel is the best. I believe a huge amount of intervention and counseling is required, rather than intervention, I'd say counseling. So each of these sessions that I do, when I do the monthly session with the parent, it's a minimum of 45 minutes. I mean, that Zoom platform is 40 minutes. Most often than not, I have to extend it. because we have to literally pour our blood, our sweat, and our heart into the parent for them to really take and believe that what we are saying is good enough. A cursory, okay, do this, do this, do this, take these 3 medicines, follow up with my therapist, follow up with my this thing, do that, and I'll see you after 6 months. If that is the case, I would expect and hope the parents become therapists instead. So I'm being very clear about it. This is my view.
Okay, sir. And so during the online sessions, the parent and child relationship is developing quite well. It is turning into something very positive. The bonds are becoming stronger. But did you somewhere around observe that the whole family is getting involved?
Absolutely. You are so right. And that is what we have to encourage. I won't use the word force, but that is what we have to very strongly encourage. And why just the family, the neighborhood? So now there is my one statement I like to say is people give so much importance to school. This is a global school, international school, falana, dikna, all that. The most important global school is your neighborhood. What your neighborhood can teach your child with special needs, no doctor on this earth, no clinic and center on this earth can teach. What chacha, mama, kaka, kaki, taya, fuaji, bauji, all that can teach, no doctor can teach. And again, Parul ma'am, I'm sorry I'm referring to you again and again because I was so touched by exactly what you said. I hope you don't mind me referring to you. You said that experience about 40 hours of ABA you are expected to do. My point is, and you mentioned the word tabletop activities of ABA. I have nothing against a particular science. I would not ask somebody to do 40 hours of ABA tabletop activities because I don't know of any other person in this community or this world who does so many hours of tabletop activities in their day-to-day life. So what is the point teaching him for 40 hours of tabletop activities? I don't do puzzles every morning. When I wake up, I don't do shape sorting. I don't do puzzles. I'm against all these things beyond the limit. So to some extent, if you have a goal to normalize that in the child's normal day-to-day life, that's fine. But I cannot thank you enough, Parul ma'am, for having said it. Because if I say it, that may be because people may perceive that I don't favor or don't promote ABA much. So I don't want to say it because every therapy is right. Everybody has worked very hard for it. But I completely liked what you said, that what is the point of doing 40 hours of tabletop activities which are not relevant to day-to-day life? So this has to be thought of, and we will have to deal with it in a holistic way, that the family, and your question is right, it's not just the parents. And that's another very important issue. In India, सब कुछ करने का है, माँ ने करने का है. माँ has to be Nirupama Roy from Hindi film area. She has to be a good daughter also. She has to look after her parents also during COVID. She has to look after the husband also. She has to look after the children also. She has to look after her job also. She has to look after the visitors at home also. I mean, what do you expect the mother to do? And then if you have a special child, it is it's impossible. It's very important for family to be involved. And the first thing we do at our center is say, if we see only the mother coming, we bring up this matter, ma'am, why are you only coming? Why is nobody else coming? Very often they will break down and they say that main chup ke aayi hu. My family doesn't know that I'm coming here for therapy because they don't want this. Ye hota hai very commonly. But the point is then that poor lady is going to under an enormous amount of stress. And we tell them, you let us talk to your in-laws, you let us talk to your parents or your husband, because once we are transparent and we explain to them, of course with the mother's consent, that all of you, if you do this, the child will do better, and they see the child doing better, the whole family can be involved. So internet is a very good example because that is directly in the house. And even in a center mein main counseling ko bulaun, grandmother is 75 years old, she may not be able to come, but trust me, she is doing much more at home for the child than anybody else. लेकिन अभी online से वो दादी जी भी सुन सकती है, और she can be face to the camera. So this is the biggest power of the internet.
Yes, sir. Even during the online sessions at CRC, we found the fathers are more active during the session. It was very common to have mothers coming and taking their children for therapy offline. But during the online sessions, especially not just the family, but the fathers were also very much interested. Some fathers even thanked us for the online sessions, saying that, this should have done even before. So do you feel that even when the lockdown is opened and the online treatment protocol should be going on?
Absolutely. I very strongly believe the world has in so many ways for better as well. So we must have a very positive outlook about it. And we must have a hybrid model. because not everybody stays in the city that I work in. Not everybody has access to internet at the same time. You have to have a mix and match of both. And we are in the infancy of it. I mean, neonatal stage maybe though. Yeah, aista in the next 4 or 5 years, we'll really be able to get a grip on what's happening. So this initial
Yes.
kind of discussion that we have in the summit is very important. I mean, I can see people sharing their comments on the chat. This is what is going to help us all.
That's definite.
I mean, 1 year back, I couldn't have believed that this enable program would work. So it's, and I'll tell you another 3 months, it will be different from what it is today. It will be different in 3 months because we will keep learning about what's working, what's not learning, and keep changing it so that every child and family gets the best outcome.
Yes, sir. And sir, this is a little out of topic, but you are on the COVID task force since a few days now as a pediatrician. And how is it that you can kind of handle the stress and anxiety related to COVID in the families which have special children in them?
That's an amazingly important issue. And I will just send you a link of an article that I've written in Indian Pediatrics, our journal. And there's another article we'll publish in News 18 today. The issue is that children with special needs have advantages as well as disadvantages in the pandemic. Let me begin by the advantages. I am a very strong believer of having the family, as I explained, involved with the child. And that has happened in the last 1.5 years because parents have been more at home. The other advantage is that the bullying and the nonsense that used to happen in schools, in some schools, not all schools, sorry, let me not make a general comment like that. In some, the bullying happens in the school bus, wo transport ka jo van rehta hai, morning mein bachcha jata hai. All that bullying has stopped. And children who I was working on the physical model earlier for years, and they were struggling to do better, especially older boys with ADHD, behavioral issues, who were struggling to get better because they were stigmatized, they were labeled, they were bullied. Suddenly those boys are doing much better. They are very happy. They've become very responsible kids. They are doing har ka kaam and all that stuff. So there have been advantages of being close to your family. Disadvantages are, one is parents themselves have heightened stress. The issues that they are dealing with, financial stress, work stress, and now physically, families have lost people in their house now because of the second wave. So I'm actually working with some group of children now who've lost a parent. And the calls are coming for, doctor, isko bataye kaise? So I had one call from a, Mausi, maternal aunt, and her husband, ki the child has lost a father, 6-year-old boy. How do we tell him? And another one from a 2.5-year-old child that the father has. How do we tell them? Of course, it depends on the age of the child. But bereavement and grief is a very important issue today. And we all have to, we will ask me, हम कर क्या सकते हैं? अरे कुछ नहीं करेंगे तो कम से कम उसको प्यार दे दो, उसको दिखाओ कि we care for you. Even if there is a family member, tell them, look, I don't know what exactly I can do. Nobody's asking you to give money, but say that I am here. Just giving that emotional support and confidence to a family who has lost a member, or to a family with a child with special needs, that don't worry, we are here. And I'll tell you, there has been so much change in myself. I have become much less rigid than I was. I've become much more accepting of the situations people have, and realizing that because, boss, it's an international emergency. No, my knowledge and my belief doesn't come in front, before or ahead of the need of the world. So this has allowed us to understand each other better. The parents need to cooperate and connect with each other, connect with your families. I'll just clarify one thing. I'm against mobile phones, but I tell parents कि आपका WhatsApp जो है, many of us have a smart TV also, or at least a laptop or a desktop. Connect WhatsApp to the TV or the bigger screen, and get your uncles, aunties, cousins. See, many senior people also are sitting free at home without having anything to do. So connect them on the WhatsApp with your child and let them interact. But on the larger screen, the problem is when you give a device with buttons.
Hand operated. Yeah, hand operated. Yeah, right. So that was very nice, that good explanation. Sir, and lastly, there are some parents who are already into online programs. There are some parents who are thinking of it. They are still very skeptical about receiving online therapy sessions and interventions. And there are some parents who have decided that no, we'll wait and we don't want to be involved in the online therapy sessions. So do you want to say something for all these parents right now, so that, end of the day, the development matters. The child is growing each second, each minute, each hour. The development won't stop for anyone. So we have to make the most of our time with the child when it comes to the developmental achievement. So is there anything that you want to say, the right words, the correct vocabulary that you can use so that parents understand the need of this hour, that, you know, any type of online intervention is going to help their child?
So, Doc, I will just clarify that a little bit. I will never say that any type of internet treatment will help your child, because I will say, I won't even say any type of treatment will change your child. In fact, I'm saying against that. Be very careful about what treatment you're taking, whether online or internet based. Be very careful. Always, and I've written this in the public domain, always ensure the credentials of the person you are going through. If you come to me and ask, आप MD लिखते हो, मेरे को certificate दिखाओ, तुम्हारा MD है क्या, दिखाओ, सच में MD है क्या? I would love it, because I have nothing to hide. And you should ask, Dr. Dalwai, show me your MBBS and MD certificate. I'll be very happy, and actually it should be put up in the clinic. So ask for credentials. Second, talk to parents who have gone there and taken treatment. Very often we have parents who come the first time, either somebody doesn't like you, you don't like somebody, whatever, and then they will go and write all kinds of things. It's important to ask people who have stayed with that professional, because they will really tell you the real problems of that person or the real drawbacks of that therapy. Somebody who's gone to that center or that person for a few months, he knows the good as well as the bad of that person. Not somebody who went, got angry with the receptionist because the receptionist was rude and they write some bad review. So these things are very important. Then why do parents not want to do internet therapy right now also is important, because they may have certain difficulties. They may have certain challenges. The mother may be willing, the grandfather said, Kasla ka internet, kya ka internet kar rahe ho? It's possible. And now they're in the house. They can't even avoid him. So there are many practical issues that parents would have why they don't want to do internet. And like I said, we as professionals need to keep studying it for the next 2-3 years, whatever their challenges. But having said that, I don't think any parent I know, I have met in the last 18 years and then before that as a pediatrician, who doesn't want to do good for their child. It is their situation, their anxiety. Very often they've met us earlier when maybe I said something very bad and they are scarred for life and they don't want to go to any other doctor because I was bad to them. It may be like that they are carrying that baggage from before. So it takes a lot of time and patience. But I will tell parents one thing. It doesn't matter whether you come to my center or you take my online therapy or no. Be there with your child. You are the best doctor and therapist ever. And I believe today that parents' intervention at home, whatever the way they work with the child at home, is 80% or responsible for the outcome. And what is done in a clinic-based thing is only 20% of the outcome. And that's why over a period of time, internet programs will work well if we know exactly how to counsel the parent in the home setting. So even if you don't want to do any therapy, at the same time, don't get carried away by those. Now there's this for COVID also, there's this 2DG glucose or something that has been going around since 2 nights. It's all rubbish. There is no, don't fall for these these gimmicks or these new things. But you are the best judge of your child. Observe your child, see what your child is good at, see what your child is comfortable with. Help him do that better and praise him. Ego works best for children with special needs. Ego of the fact that I am doing something nice. You praise your child. If he has even carried the plate and set up the table and just you have carried, but he's also carried, tell the father, yaar khana kha rahe ho na, aapke bacche ne table banaya hai. The ego boost that will give your child, he will do this every day. And then again, that is his fine motor, that is his gross motor, that is his verbal communication, social interaction, all coming up. So encourage your child. This is actually, I don't know whether you will agree, but the best time for children with special needs, because parents can give more time to them, can be with them. And like I'll end by saying this Ghalib quote, which says, "Ye kahan ki dosti hai ki bane hai dost na se. Ye kahan ki dosti hai ki bane hai dost na se. Koi chara saaz hota, koi gham gusaz hota." Says that I don't want some friend who will come and give me gyan. I don't want gyan. All of us have enough gyan. I'd rather have somebody who sits with me, empathizes with me, listens to my story, and sits down and has food with me. So this is what parents must be. They don't have to be a big advisor or a counselor or a doctor. They have to be there with the child, to play with the child and enjoy with the child. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time. I'll just check if we have questions.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, someone has asked, my brother is 31 years old. I think he's autistic. Will your organization help to do the official diagnosis?
So the question, I read that official diagnosis, I don't think online people have yet started doing, at least I'm not doing. So official diagnosis of online, I would be a little worried. But like I said, it's from label to enable is the more important thing. So helping that person at whatever age, the fundamentals are the same. But after the centers open, then maybe once this COVID issue and all gets down, don't take a risk with physical health right now. 31 years old, so another 2-3 months will not be such a big problem. After that, you can get it done.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was an honor to have you today.
So thank you. I want to thank each and every one of you, all the organizers, because you've taken so much of hard work over the last few months. I've been seeing Harshali ma'am, yourself, Sumit, Saumil, all of you. So, and again, I'm very happy that IIP and COMHAD, Dr. Uday Bodhankar's team, Dr. Yashwant Patil team could cooperate. So thanks to all of you, and thanks to all the people who spent their last 1 hour listening to this. Thank you so much.